I just knew I needed to be here. It was just, California's my place.
And you were how old at that point?
16.
16? And you went home and said to Mom, we're moving?
Not quite, but I said, my mom is in the audience here. I said, I gotta live in California at some point. I graduated from high school in '87. I ended up going to 2 years of college back in Minnesota in St. Cloud State University. And at the age of 20, I was 2 years into college, the burning desire to be in California became overwhelming, that I had to do it. And
you had a burning desire?
Burning. Like there
well,
was
it gets cold up in Minnesota. Maybe you just didn't like being cold.
Well, that was part of it, yes. 40 below winters.
40 below. I'm from Wisconsin.
Yes.
I can relate to this.
Yes. I do remember the very last snowstorm in April of 1989 when I said, that's it. That's it. So anyway, that in September of '89, I packed up my car, my little '79 Toyota Corolla. I told my mom and dad I'm moving to California. I didn't know a soul here. And
just like that?
Just like that. And well, actually, I had convinced Mom and Dad to let's do a trip to California. And so in June of '89, I was 20, we drove out here from Minnesota. And when we drove out here, I was on a lookout of where could I move. Los Angeles seemed too big for me at the time.
Me too.
Yeah, from 900 people to 11 million was a bit of a culture shock.
A culture shock, yes.
But we came through the San Ynez Valley, and I had remembered that Michael Jackson had bought a ranch out here. I didn't know it was called NeverLand at the time. But we asked somebody in San Ynez at the Red Barn in San Ynez, does Michael Jackson have a ranch out here? And they said, yeah, it's out on Figueroa Mountain Road. So I said, we have to go at least see the gate. So we drove out there. It was just us and the gate, my mom, my dad, and my brother.
Did you find the gate right away?
Mm-hmm. It's hard to miss on Figueroa Mountain. I mean, it's road, it's just right there.
It's the last place on the left as you go. But did they give you that specific direction to find it?
They just said it's about 5 miles out on Figueroa Mountain Road.
That's about 5 miles, and that's where you,
Across from Midland School.
Did you talk to the gate guard?
Oh, yeah.
Did he admit that it was Michael's place?
I don't remember. I mean, I'm sure, but I don't even remember. But of course, we got our picture, our token picture. But my point in that is when we ended up going back home, the valley seemed like a place it was a little bit more real to what I was used to back home, small town. And I'm a horse person. I grew up with horses.
That'll do it.
So my intention was, let's move out here, Lisa. Let's get our, work for a year. And I thought I could work at a horse farm. And then I'll transfer to college here.
So did you find a horse farm job out here?
I did.
You did, just like that?
Within a week, yes.
Wow.
Yes. One of the other Michael miracles, and there was many of them, when I was driving out to California, I stopped in Sedona to visit my mom's friend, stayed for a night, and she said, do you know anybody in the San Ynez Valley? I said, no. And she says, well, my husband's niece lives there. Let me give you her name and number, and at least you have somebody that you could call if you needed anything. So I arrived, I found a room in Buellton in a house. And I was here 2 days, and I pulled out that piece of paper. I called, I think her name was Lori. She was working at a restaurant in Solvang. So she says, well, yeah, why don't you come in one night and, we can meet. Well, I got there. She was working, and she says, why don't you go sit in the bar? When I have a break, I'll come talk to you. Well, I was sitting in the bar watching a baseball game. I was the only one in the bar. It was a Wednesday night. And the woman who was bartending, and I don't even drink, so it was just, we were kind of just sitting there. Anyway, she said to me, she says, are you new in town? Are you visiting? And I said, no, I'm actually, well, I just moved here from Minnesota 2 days ago. And she's like, oh. Kind of told her, she was asking me my story, and I said, yeah, I'm looking for a job here in the valley, working with animals or whatever. And she said, oh, have you tried NeverLand Valley Ranch? Again, I didn't know Michael's ranch was that.
You didn't know the name of it?
No. And I said, gosh, I don't think I've heard of that ranch. And she says, oh, it's Michael Jackson's ranch. I was like, oh. She says, I was the ranch manager. I just quit about a month ago to start my own business.
Lori had just quit?
No, Lori was the waitress. This was the bartender.
Oh, this is the bartender.
Yes. So
What
I
was
ended
her
up,
name?
her name was Linda.
And she had just quit.
As his ranch manager a month before.
Did she tell you why?
She said she was managing estates in the valley, and she had started her own business. And she said she loved it out there, but she had always wanted to do her own business. But she said to me, she says, you know, you could fill out an application here. I'll get you an application and just take it to the gate, and you can even use me as a reference. And I'm thinking, this is really the first person in the valley that I meet. Is this woman,
and you got
she's
a direct
telling
line
me
for an application to go right to the gate.
And she doesn't even know me, and she's saying, yeah, go ahead and use me as a reference. Well, long story short, I didn't get the job as an animal keeper out at NeverLand at that time, but in the next year, my mom and dad, my family moved out here into the valley. Why? I don't know.
Did they miss you, or
I think they
did you just say, hey, come on out, come on out,
well,
I'm close to Michael?
They always had, moving on their minds ever since I was in junior high, and they always thought about maybe moving to Colorado, and, after they had been here, I'm like, why don't you move out here?
It wasn't that cold, cold winter they had back there in the early 80s that maybe...
I'm sure it had something
had
to
a
do
little
with
bit to do with it, when everything was frozen and nobody could move anywhere.
Yes.
I remember my tires freezing to the pavement.
Yes.
And get out in the morning, and you try to put it in gear, and the car goes, it doesn't go. And you get angry, so you pop it into first, and you pop it in the tire. My tire came unraveled. The car went forward, but I left the tire tread still frozen right where it had been the night before when it was hot and it was warm from running, and then it settled and the ice formed. And I looked at that tire and said, that's it. I am leaving Wisconsin. I am done with cold weather. I am moving someplace where it's warm. I'm done with this. And that was really a critical decision. So maybe that really cold winter had a little persuasive effect.
Oh.
And you're here right where you want to be, and so you all gravitate.
Yes.
Now you're out here.
Yes.
And who gets the first job at NeverLand?
My mom. And this was in 1993, January of 1993. And she was working at the health food store in Solvang, because my mom is...
How do you get from a health food store in Solvang to being employed at NeverLand? I mean, that's kind of a big jump.
It is, and she wasn't expecting it. It came out of the blue.
How?
Well, she was working there, and the head housekeeper out at the ranch would come in to the health food store and get these big orders that Mom would help her with. And they kind of developed a little bit of a friendship. And then one day...
And what was her name, this head housekeeper?
Her first name was Gail. What was...
Gail.
What is it? Goforth?
Oh, Gail
Okay.
Guilford.
Goforth, I think.
Yeah, Guilford, yeah.
And she just one day said to Mom, would you ever be interested in a job housekeeping out at NeverLand? And my mom was like, I've never done housekeeping. I don't know. And she said, well, and she says, why would you ask? And she said, well, you just seem like you would be perfect for the job.
Wow.
So
I'm just thinking of all the Michael Jackson fans all over the world in Italy, Sweden, Germany, France would love to have been offered a job to work at NeverLand. And your mother's just handed to her working at a, this is almost too much to believe.
And there's more. Yes, these are, I'm just giving you some of the interesting things that happened. But yes, and so my mom said, well, you know, you don't get offered a job like this every day. Why not? And so she ended up working as one of his housekeepers for 3 years. And it's interesting because my mom is always a believer in manifesting your dreams and the power of writing things down. And when she was still back in Minnesota, she had written on a piece of paper that the 3 things she needs in life to be happy are kids, music, and animals. And she tucked that piece of paper away, and somehow that paper made its way out to California through their move. And after she was here at NeverLand, she was cleaning her house, and she found that piece of paper that she had written in Minnesota years before. And she looked at it like, oh my God, You never know how the universe is going to manifest or bring to you.
What you really want.
Yes.
What needs to fulfill in your life.
If you're open to it. If you're open to it.
Is that part in the book too?
Yes. It's all in there.
How many pages is your book? Can we flash this book up again? Again, Stephen? How many pages in this book?
Well, it's 30 chapters, and it right now as a Word document, it's about 286 pages.
That's a good sized book.
So the first part of the book is the journey getting here and how, what I call from Minnesota to Michael. The middle part of the book is about NeverLand and the child's heart in all of us and what it symbolized to all of us.
Wow.
The second part of the book is what I call the reflections of what I believe Michael as a soul reflected to all of us as human beings in the human condition. The journey of the heart and spirit and the mind and ego, the light, the darkness, and how we are all of it.
Amazing. So you got to go to NeverLand, not as an employee, but because your mother was an employee, and once a year they have a celebration that Michael liked the most called Family Day?
Yes.
So you get invited out there, and you're entitled to bring your brothers, your sisters, your friends,
Yes.
your uncles, your aunts, if they'd been around, you could have brought them too?
Yes.
And this happens once a year.
Yes.
How many employees were there that first year you went out, do you think?
Oh, I mean, there were hundreds of people.
Hundreds?
I don't know about how many staff, but there were 100?
100
Okay.
people on staff?
From also
Wow.
NeverLand and his office in LA. They
All
got to
came
come.
out, and they all got to bring their wife, boyfriend, girlfriend,
Yes.
children, grandchildren.
Yes.
Wow. And so you got to go to that place. You got to sit in Michael's private theater
Yes.
that has these plush red, I don't know if we can get a shot. This actually has Michael sitting in it. You got to go in there and sit in these plush red chairs that swivel. They
Yeah.
swivel left and right, and they swivel back and forward.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just really amazing. I got to sit in them too in 2004 on arraignment day, but you got to go there for a whole day and do it next year too.
Yes. I was bummed the very first year that, Mom was working there. They had Family Day, but I was actually on a backpacking trip in Europe. And I was like, no. So it would hurt to not be able to be there, but I was like, oh, well, hopefully they'll have it again the next time and I'll be home.
So the next time, were you home?
Yes.
You were how old?
I was 25.
25.
Going on 10.
You're going on 10.
Yes, knowing that I was going to NeverLand.
You're going to NeverLand. Oh my God, you're 20, and you feel like 10, and it's true. When you get out there, there's something about the music playing. It's so relaxing. It just brings back childhood feelings.
Totally.
I'm an old man, and when I was out there during the, it was 04, so it was 10 years ago, I was 58, and I had that same feeling like, I should get popcorn and candy and a big lollipop. I'm thinking, no, I better settle for a chicken sandwich and something less sweet. But you get that feeling.
Yes.
I even went on one of the rides, not the big scary thing that swings back and forth, but I think the chairs that swing around.
The scramblers?
You know, the chairs that fly?
Yeah.
I think I went on that.
Oh, those, okay, that kind of, yes.
Yeah, and you're like a chain and your feet are dangling. I went on that one. So you felt like a child at 25?
Yes. And I still feel like a child, and now I'm 45. But yes, let's make that clear. But yes, I would ask Mom, I'm like, well, what time can we go? And she said, well, the gates open at 10. And I said, well, how long can we stay? And she says, well, they close at 10. And I said, okay, we are getting there right at 10, and we are not leaving until 10 p.m. We are maximizing this. She's like, that is fine. So, I mean, driving out there through the gates the first time,